This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
This is the TURS radio show, and I'm your host, Krista Niels. My guest today is Rob McConnell, and how can I describe him? He's the greatest guy I met for a very long time. He's my mentor, and it's an honor for me to have him on my show. Welcome tonight, Rob McConnell.
Wow, what an introduction, Krista Niels. Thank you so much. Great being on your show.
It's my pleasure, and I think we will have a lot of fun during the next hour.
I know we will, because any time I spend time with you is always fun and very enlightening.
Good. Rob,
yeah.
You told me that you started your business 37 years ago, and your business is radio and TV. How did you start? How did it come that you said, I have to be a radio star?
Well, it all happened when I was young. There were three things I wanted to do when I was young. I wanted to be in a rock and roll band. I wanted to be a policeman, and I wanted to be in broadcasting. Now, the logic behind all three were very simple. I was born in the 50s, grew up with the Beatles. Hey, every kid wanted to be in a band. And I was in one of the very first Beatles Clone bands in Quebec. We did the Montreal Sorel circuit called the SelBeat. And then as I grew older, it was time to go into, find a profession. Now, all my family is in law enforcement. My uncles were police officers, detectives, lieutenants. My dad was a fingerprint technician. And then, after suffering from a degenerative hip disease caused by deep diving, it was either sit at a desk or go on in life. No, I couldn't see myself sitting at a desk because I'm not that kind of person. So I decided, okay, well, let's see. I've done the rock and roll thing. I've done the rock and roll gig. Let me see. I've done the police gig. Now, what was that third thing? Oh, yes, broadcasting. My mom worked at a radio station in Montreal called CKGM, and she also did bit acting for a lot of television in Montreal. And I would go with my mom on a Saturday to the TV stations and watch the technical aspect. It amazed me, and I said, you know what? One day, I'm going to do that. So after leaving law enforcement, I taught myself how to do editing, camera work, all aspects of television production. Then I went out and started selling commercial spots to merchants in the Montreal area, and I would take their tape, bring it over to the U.S., Plattsburgh, New York, and I would get their commercials played locally, and when I say locally, it was a very large market, on the Johnny Carson show. And, this was the start of it all, and this goes back 37 years. I had the opportunity of working with some of the greatest in the industries over the years. Not only do we do radio and television, we also do satellite uplinks, we do publishing, we do internet, everything in the internet. But something that we also do is concert productions and promotions. I've worked with B.J. Thomas, Peter Noon, Brighton Rock, Gordon Lightfoot. The Bells. It's been a great and interesting ride along the way. And that's how I got to where I am today.
Wow. What a story. I'm so happy that you are here tonight and that we meet right in the show. How can I put that question? The difference between now and then. When
Oh.
you started, the technique was entirely different to the technique today, I think.
Oh my gosh, yeah, when I started, we were just, let me see, the industry norm was 3/4-inch videotape cassette. We had just come off of 2 and 4-inch reel-to-reel videotape. The cameras weighed, I think, anywhere from 20 to 25 pounds, and you lug this on your shoulder, and you had a big video cassette recorder unit on your hip, and this is how it was done. Then it went to the Betacam. Cameras got smaller, they got lighter. The technology increased and improved everything to now here we are in the digital age, and everything is so compact that, high quality broadcast cameras are handheld, and you've got the same kind of camera quality in a lot of the handheld units, the iPads and the iPods that you find in the higher quality broadcast cameras.
So today it's a handful of technique, and 37 years ago it was, kind of bodybuilding studio.
Yeah, that's right. That is so true.
Okay. I'm Kristen Nielsen. We will be right back after this commercial break. You're listening to the TURS radio show on the X Zone Broadcast Network on www.xzbn.net.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
This is the TURS radio show, and I'm your host, Kristen Niels. My guest today is Rob McConnell, the founder of XZBN and 37 years of experience in radio and TV. Welcome back.
Thank you, my dear friend.
You just told me a story about these camera stuff 37 years ago.
Yeah, when you'd go out on remote, and you'd have to bring a sound guy to carry his equipment. You'd have to bring an assistant because usually you had somebody else schlepping the video recorder on over their shoulder. And then there was yourself, and sometimes you worked with a producer or director, and if you were working at night, you had to have somebody who would take care of the lighting and so on and so forth. Well, if you were outside in the daytime doing a feature or a news shot, if you were near traffic, you'd have to put yourself very strategic so that if a vehicle went by that had chrome or if the reflection of the sun was caught on the camera, on glass or a building, that it could actually burn an imprint in the Vidicon tube. And
Oops.
and then you would say, oh no, because if you were to use that camera without what we called burning it clear, you'd have that streak mark in anything you produce because you had actually burned that image into the Vidicon tube. Now, with today's technology, is so great. You can point the camera basically at the sun or whatever without worrying. So, thank goodness for whoever came up with that technology. You've made my life a lot easier.
I understand that. So the camera finally felt like a person looking into the sun and then looking somewhere else and having a black point in the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And you didn't have to worry about taking the camera back to the studio or wherever to have it either burn it out yourself or have another engineer do that. It was, plus you had to keep extra tubes on hand, if it was a 1 tube or 2 tube or 3 tube camera. You always had to keep extras on hand. And when you went from, 2-inch to 4-inch videotape, and then you went to 3/4-inch cassette tape, there were so many trials and tribulations, and the editing was, oh my gosh, you needed 2 VCRs, sometimes 3 or 4 VCRs, and the sound of the recording heads queuing up, clack, 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 clack. It was, people think, well, geez, it's all fun and frolics in TV and any other kind of multimedia production, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scene that, having worked with that technology that many years ago to this technology, it's like, oh man, it's a dream come true.
Yes, I remember 30 years ago I was in space sciences, and a TV team from Germany came to have some videos and some shots, and I said, finally, you told me you will have half an hour of broadcasting, but you are here around for the whole day. I saw you yesterday. You told me that you will be here tomorrow, and you're always moving around, and I see the red light. Your camera is on. How much are you taking? And they said, can you imagine 20 kilometers of film?
Yeah.
And I said, woo. No, I cannot imagine.
The beautiful part is that now with the new digital formats, let me go back a little bit in time. 12 years ago, I was part of the Canadian TV series Creepy Canada. And I had the pleasure of working with Bill Burke, Brian O'Day, and some other great members of the Canadian media. And I think this was the very first time that a show was actually done 100% digitally. And what we would do is we would go out, shoot a segment, and then we would do the voiceover right away. And then using a laptop and the editing equipment, we would do the editing while on our way to the next shot. So it cut production time down, so much, and the production cost fell dramatically.
Yeah, finally, you needed less people too, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mind you, with every advent in technology, there are certain downfalls that have to be met with. And for example, in this day and age, there is so much of what is called reality TV, and I call it BS TV. You've got all these different ghost shows, these different haunting shows, these different Bigfoot shows, and the quality is anything less to be desired. The production and the actual content is, well, I won't get into that on your show. But anyway, what has happened here in the United States and Canada is that the deregulation of the broadcast industry that allowed all these other channels to be opened left broadcasters and program directors with a problem. There wasn't enough programming to fill all the spots. So they opened up their channels to less than professional broadcasting in order just to have content, and it's had an adverse effect.
So the quality decreased.
Oh, big time. Big time. Big time. And now here in Canada, Bell Media is one of the largest conglomerates of radio, TV, print media, as well as telecommunications. And I think that by allowing companies to get that big, you're taking the ability for up and coming production facilities not to get their productions on air and to the public. What you end up finding is you find a lot of repeats around and around and around. And here in Canada, I would say that 70 to 80% of all programming is American.
Oh, you have to go external to find or to fill your slots.
That's right.
Okay, that I can understand that. We have that in Germany too. And now I understand why certain stations have repeats during the day. You see the one serial 3 or 4 times a day. And this is harsh.
Yeah, that's because there's not enough programming.
Yep.
And
what can we do against that?
Really, there's nothing we can do. That is the hard part. That is really the hard part in the entire scenario, is because the networks don't want to spend the money on the programming. The programming that we see over here, I haven't had the pleasure of watching German television, so I really don't know what the quality is. But over here, these programs that are second rate are costing the networks next to nothing. Next to nothing. They're buying off the independent producers who just want to get their credits out there. And a lot of these shows that we're getting on specialty channels are by people who have no experience whatsoever when it comes to actual television production.
Okay. Got you. Now I understand. It's open for everyone throughout the world, and even for people who think they are skilled and stars, and so that's the reason why the quality decreases.
We're finding the same thing in the broadcast industry, Krista, that the publishing industry is finding. You've got people who are using desktop publishing because they can't get their books published by publishing houses because their books aren't that good enough. Where now they can self-publish and put their book on Amazon.com. And what we're finding is every month there are 20,000 new books being published. 20,000. And I love the internet, but the internet is the biggest septic tank that mankind has ever created because there's more crap on it than there is anything else. And with the different venues available for video productions, radio productions, and publishing, the professional standards are going down the tubes. Now, with XZBN, we have standards. We will not do a lot of things that podcasters do because we're not a podcast. We're an actual broadcast facility. So when you get podcasters who have no rules, have no regulations, they don't have any formatting, and it's basically a free-for-all, you're inundating a professional market with garbage. The same way authors who really shouldn't be writing are publishing, you're just inundating the publishing market with a lot of garbage. And the same goes for television, these homemade productions. Like, I don't know about you, Krista, but I go onto Facebook. I don't want to see what people had for lunch. I don't want to see what people had for breakfast. I don't care that it's your dog's birthday. Like, get a life, for God's sake. You know?
Yes. Right.
And I think social media has run away from reality. And like, if you want to communicate with somebody, pick up the phone and talk to them, or write them a letter. Oh, there's a concept, writing a letter. There's so much that can be done, but as technology has been so fast and so furious in the development of itself and making itself available to each and every person, we have a gigantic gap that is coming now between reality and fantasy and fiction. And this is being caused by the immediacy of the availability to put your lunch on the internet. Like, who gives a care? I don't care where you're going. I don't care what you're doing. Why waste my time? Like, if you're really that desperate, maybe you should join a social club.
I guess that's the reason what things are posted, that I have to take care on where people cross the street. Mm-hmm. They do not look up. They just cross the street. They have their eyes on their smartphones, and it's done. It's over. And well, I have to take care.
Well, I've got two sayings that I use very frequently here. In fact, at least every day, 10 times. Smartphones make stupid people. Smart cars make stupid drivers. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my thought on it.
I'm with you. I am absolutely with you. Let's continue after a short break. I'm Krista Niels, and we will be right back after this commercial break. You're listening to the TURS radio show on the X Zone Broadcast Network on www.xzbn.net.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
This is the TURS radio show, and I'm your host, Krista Niels. My guest today is Rob McConnell. Rob, welcome back.
Oh, thank you, Krista. Always great talking to you.
Rob, when you started with the radio and TV, I assume you had a vision for yourself. Could you reach that? Could you reach your goals?
Did I reach my goals?
Yes.
Definitely. You see, I have always believed the only difference between a dream and reality is doing it. Now, nobody is an immediate success. No one. There are always people who try and something happens, they see it as a negative failure and they quit. Well, I've always looked at those problems that I've had as lessons to success. And I've always said, all right, well, fine. That didn't work. What will work? And I have never been afraid to ask people who have the knowledge and experience that I do not have to help me get to where I want to go. You know, when you're going from point A to point B and you don't know how to get there, you use a map or you use a GPS. Well, in life and in business, if you want to get from where the idea is to where you want to be, you need to ask people. People with the experience, people who have done it, people who will understand the problems that you're having and be there to say, well, you know what, I can help you. Try this or try that. And I've been blessed with those kind of people in my life because I've looked for them, number one, and number two, I've asked the questions.
So another attitude we share.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Do you have the feeling that today people do not dare to ask, or that they are too convinced of themselves?
I think a lot of people in today's society deal in a false sense of reality. That to ask for help is admitting defeat, and that's wrong. Asking for help or seeking guidance or learning to do something is something that is necessary on the road to success.
Is there anything we can do about that to change that? Create an atmosphere that people dare to ask again?
You do that each and every week that you and Siegfried do your show. I listen. I learn. You do that with your guests. Your guests share their experiences. Your guests share their knowledge. And your guest and you and Siegfried are telling your listeners it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to believe. It's okay to be part of a community that shares ideas. You are doing what needs to be done, my dear friend.
Thank you. So we agree it's good to create a new atmosphere, or maybe the very old one, where it's okay to ask questions just to learn.
Definitely. And you know what? We're coming out with some new products. We're coming out with a product that, I'll give you an example, that is about 4 inches by 4 inches that attaches to your TV set. It has 70 independent channels. It has 100 video games already pre-programmed in it. It's coming out. It's going to be $35 US. And I've worked on this with some of the youngest people in the industry. Age to me is just something that we have made up to better understand, from the birth to the crib to the, I forget what it's called. I used to be crib to cradle. No, cradle to coffin. Cradle to coffin. That's what age is for. So whether you're 25, whether you're 15, whether you're 65, whether you're 74, 92, or whatever, if you have the knowledge, if you have the experience, if you have the education, and if you have the idea, there's nothing wrong with taking these people, bringing them together, and brainstorming. And this is what we do on a constant basis here. I don't have all the answers. If I was to even believe that I had all the answers, I'd be the biggest fool in the world. But I don't. I'm not afraid to say, you know what? I don't know. Let me think about that. Let me go and find the answer for you. And if I myself cannot find the answer, I will go to people who, in my opinion, will have the answers. And the people that I deal with, if they don't have the answers, they will send me to the people that do have the answers.
Okay, so it's absolutely okay to say, thank you for asking. I do not have the answer, but I will find the answer for you.
Definitely.
And I found out that it's not normal in today's society to ask questions and to get the answer. No, I don't know the answer. Are we so
Egotistical?
over? How can I put that? I'm looking for words at the moment. I think we are exaggerating in our expectations.
I think that a lot of people in today's world are very egotistical, and they would rather give you a bunch of bull than to give you the answer. And they would rather make an answer up than to actually say, you know what, I really don't know. I would rather deal with somebody who says, you know what, Rob, that's a good question. I don't have the answer right now, or I don't know. Let me get back to you, or let me think on that. They're the people I'd rather deal with than the person who thinks they have an answer or they don't have an answer and make one up. And there's a lot of that today in not only in business but in society in general. And and you know what? When you look at the timeline, technology was keeping up, or we were keeping up with technology. I am really not sure about that anymore. You know, with the computer that took man to the moon was only what 64K. It was you know, one of the first home computers that were ever retailed were stronger than the computers that were on the ships to the moon.
Yes.
And now with today's technology, the handheld devices, the smartphones or whatever, the smart TV, smart car, stupid people, however you want to look at it, we don't believe we need anyone else because we have this little piece of technology in our hands that will give us all the answers. But if you really look at what answers they are giving you multiple answers to the same question. So instead of being able to go to the person who may have the right answer or who will put you to the right answer, you go to your smartphone and you go, you know, press on Google or Chrome or Firefox, and you put your request in the search engine. Well, based on how you put that question in the search engine is how you're going to get your answers.
Right.
So
I experience that every day at the moment. I think you've heard that in Germany we had a lot of refugees from Africa, Asia, and at the moment I'm taking care of some people from Africa, and they do not dare to ask a question. They are in a society, in a country that's overwhelming for them in knowledge, in bureaucracy and whatever you can think of. And I have 1 hour for them. And in the beginning, 10 minutes before the end of the hour, they said, oh, I have a paper here. Could you have a look at it? And I look at it. Okay, it's another piece of bureaucracy. It has to be done. My God, we have to do it. I'll do it. And in the meantime, I could educate them. And after 3 or 4 minutes of a little chatting, they pull out the paper and say, you said I may ask. I've got a new piece of paper and I do not understand it. And I think this is the way how we have to deal with people on any behalf. If there is someone who is in need of knowledge or information, we should take care of that and give that person support to find an answer.
I agree. And, you know, when you look at the big scheme of things these days, using the technology of today, I think we are totally inundated with way too much data, way too much news. Our systems were not developed to handle all the data that we are getting inundated with 24/7, 365. News is instantaneous, and the news is being manipulated to skew which way the news outlets wants the public to think, the public to vote, the public to buy, the public to act. And I think that this is an abuse of the media's power.
Yeah. And I know more than enough people who love to leave their smartphone or whatever back home and just have a walk for half an hour or so,
Yep.
just to be on your own.
Well, when you come to our home, we have, when you come to the front door, on the right-hand side is a piece of furniture. And on that piece of furniture is a basket. And we ask all our guests to leave their cell phones and their iPhones or their smartphones in that basket while they're visiting us.
Yeah, because they are visiting you and
Yeah.
they are not visiting their smartphone.
Yeah. When Laura and I go out for supper, we just bring one phone and it stays off the table. You know, we'd rather talk to each other. And it's pretty bad when you see families, instead of enjoying themselves, having supper or family time, they're texting or playing games on their smartphones while they're in a restaurant.
Yes, I know.
That is so sad.
Yes, I agree with that. I really agree with that. It's yes, as a communication expert, I have to say I hate that.
As a communication expert,
do not communicate.
I was just going to say, do you find that as a communication expert, people who have access to all this communication equipment now are communicating less than they did before?
Yes.
Wow.
They are not communicating personally anymore. And when I held seminars, I had to fight that all this phone stuff was vanishing from the desk.
Unreal. Do you think there's
and everybody who came into the seminar room to me saw the first slide, and the first slide was a traffic sign like this: stop, no, and there was a person behind holding a phone, and it was crossed, no phones in it.
Good for you. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
Okay, your next question after our short break. I'm Krista Niels, and we will be right back after this commercial break. You're listening to the TELUS Radio Show on the X Zone Broadcast Network on www.xzbn.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
This is the TELUS Radio Show, and I'm your host, Krista Niels. Today's guest is Rob McConnell. Welcome back, Rob.
And thank you, Krista, for having me on your show. I love your show. I love what you do, and I love the message that you get across. And the nice part is that you're helping people. People who listen to your show learn. And congratulations on a great show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my mentor. Rob, you said something about Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
What was it?
Okay, what we used to do is This is going back to 1981. I had a company in Montreal called MGB Video. M for McConnell, G for Golem, who was one of my partners, and B for Bukovetsky, who was another partner, MGB. And we had and I still do have a very ingenious lawyer. His name is Lorne Marchand. And he said, why don't we call you guys MGB? And we thought, MGB, that's a car. We'll never get it. But he got it for us, so it was MGB Video. So I would go out and sell an ad. And for example, one of the ads we did was for Woodhouse Lagaria, a furniture store in Montreal. Mm-hmm. And I would go out, I would do the video, I would shoot the video, I would do the voice tracking, I would do the editing, I would bring the video back to the client for him to review or her to review. If they liked it, I would drive it across the border into the United States to WPTZ in Plattsburgh, New York. And the video would play for how many spots the client bought on the Johnny Carson show locally. Now, locally meant that the show was throughout northern New York and southern Quebec, which included Montreal and all the highest populated areas of Quebec. And another one that I really did that I loved was for the royal wedding of Princess Diana and Prince Charles, or Prince Charles. When they got married, I was hired to do a commercial for Royal Doulton. Not Royal Doulton. Oh my gosh, what's the name of the company? Anyway, it was a commemorative plate of Princess Diana and Prince Charles getting married, and it was a 1-800 commercial where, it was a 2-minute commercial. The royal wedding, we had footage from the ceremony itself, and I hired a British actor to do the voice track, and that was another great one that I really, really liked doing. And this played right across Canada, right across the United States, and they sold millions of these plates. So that was pretty cool. We did one for a gas-saving device. We did one for, a satellite company. We did one for the Hyatt Regency hotels, CN hotels. And with each commercial that I did, I learned. And if I wasn't sure how to do something, I would find out. I would ask. And and from there was just a progression into my partners in MGB Video wanted to go their own separate ways, which they did, and we're still good friends. And we just grew. We started. I started doing TV before I did radio, and then when it went from TV to publishing the newspaper, the X Chronicles newspaper, to doing the radio show, because it was the X Chronicles newspaper that was published and was being sold right across Canada. I got a call from Brian Wilde, the producer at CHML Radio here in Hamilton, and he says, I'm going to give you the opportunity of a lifetime. And that was to be on the Bill Kelly Show for 1 week with Bill, talking about the paranormal and everything within the X Chronicles newspaper. Bill Kelly, a great Canadian broadcaster. He still is at CHML Radio. We're still very good friends after all these years, was the person who actually got me into radio. And he was my mentor. And I would always go to Bill for advice. And then I was on the first station that we did the X Zone radio show on was actually 1220 CHSC in St. Catharines. From there we went to CKDX in Newmarket, Ontario. From there we went to 1290 CJBK in London, Ontario. From there we came back to St. Catharines to News Talk 610 CKTB. From 610 CKTB went to CFBU in St. Catharines. And it was at CFBU where I got a call from an American syndicator who had heard about us and who wanted to syndicate the X Zone. Wow. So that was the next step. Now, once you get syndicated, you start making good money. And you didn't have to do your show in a traditional studio, you could actually afford to buy your own studio and make your own studio and do your own show. So after a couple of years of doing this, we started doing voice tracking. Producing records, producing for other people. And that's when I got involved with people at Creepy Canada. And for 5 years, I was with them while doing other stuff. And some of the people that we've been contracted to do work for include the SPCA. We did a whole bunch of things for the SPCA, including started their own radio network called what was it called? Hold on here. Oh my gosh.
Much in your life.
It was called petnetradio.com.
Ah.
Yeah, and we still do the newspaper every month. We've been publishing the newspaper now since 1991. And it's available in print or digital download. This month, not this month, but the August-September issue was downloaded 7 million times.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And, it's just a matter of keeping on top of things, promoting.
And persistence.
That's the big word. In fact, that's the number one word when the founder of McDonald's restaurant chain was asked for a sentence that would be helpful to people who wanted to be successful. He says, it's not a sentence, it's one word. Persistence.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could recommend, how can I say it, people who want to start in radio and TV, if you could recommend them one thing, what would you say them?
Believe in yourself. The only difference between the dream and reality is doing it. That's as plain and simple as it is. And that's no secret. That is in life. If you want to be an expert pianist, it takes practice. You can do it. And the difference between the dream and the reality is just learning all the steps in between until you become proficient enough. So whether it's radio, whether it's TV, whether it's playing a piano, whether it's flying an airplane, I don't know what cannot be attained to success. If you really want to do something, you will do it.
What about sticking to one way?
Well, sticking to one way is a recipe for disaster. You have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. Because your way may not be the right way. And if you're going to be successful, there's going to be times where you have to change. Because technology changes. The world changes. Life changes. People change. You really have to be flexible. And that's what I mean by change. You have to have the flexibility or the ability to be flexible without losing your core values, without selling yourself out, without giving away too much of what you believe and what you want to accomplish. That is all part of life.
Yes, got you. So when you have a goal, follow the goal, no matter what the way to the goal is.
Exactly. Exactly. There's two ways of getting on to the other side of the mountain. It's either through it or under it or over it.
Yeah.
But you still get through
that.
it? Yeah.
Pardon?
I said, that's it, So just look at the options. There's so many ways. Look at the map of life. Look at the GPS of life. You will get there. Don't give up. Don't give up on your dream. And don't look at a failure as a sign that you can't make it or that you're not the right person to do it. Look at a failure as a lesson towards success. And you will succeed.
Okay, that's good to know. In Germany, we can play a bit more with the words. The German word for failure is Fehler. And from this is a kind of lack you can derive and say, when you make a mistake, when you have an error, don't ask, why was the error? Ask, what did I miss to learn to avoid this error?
Right. I like that. I like that. Here it's, just learn from your mistakes. That's it. Or the old expression, if you fall off the horse, you just dust yourself off and get back on the horse.
Yes. And I say, don't forget to put the crown on your head so you feel better.
Exactly.
Rob, thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure. And
chatting.
And once again, congratulations on your great show.
Thank you. Hear you soon.
You bet.
Join me, Krista Niels, next week on the TURS radio show on the XZBN Broadcast Network on www.xzbn.net.